1, 2, 3.
That's the way we walk in.
See, by now you better feel it.
All you want is an opportunity to win, to compete, to dominate. And darn it, I'm going to give you that.
Hello, and welcome to After Further Review. You'll notice that my surroundings look a little different today. And that's quite simply because I'm coming to you live from Fort Worth, Texas. Jones and After Further Review is here to cover CU at TCU in partnership with Sports Illustrated and BuffSpeed. If you're just new to the channel, I've been covering Colorado a little bit here for Sports Illustrated and for BuffSpeed. I am at almost every press conference. I am at 4 to 5 practices a week. Now I'm going to be at the game, not as a fan, but in an official capacity. Just wanted to give you a heads up that we are covering this event live in Fort Worth, Texas, behind enemy lines. And before I hit the bed, we be up at the rightful hour of 5 a.m. I thought I'd just give you my thoughts, which are going to be very different than most everyone you're listening to right now. The long and short of it is I come from a pro mindset more so than a college mindset. So when I look at this, I'm not going in with all of the biased favoritisms that we see in college football all the time. Unless you're Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, unless you're one of those teams that's in the absolute top 10, no doubt about it, maybe even top 5 for that matter, there is a sense that everything below that is sort of all just good. So right now, almost everyone is predicting a landslide throttling at the hands of TCU. I just don't see it that way. I've looked at this 20,000 different ways. I just don't buy it. Now, we can come back 24 hours from now and I could just be flat out wrong. But from an analytical standpoint, this game isn't as far apart as people think. TCU lost 60% of their starters. Even for an established program that's been in the recruiting pipeline, that's hard to get over. Now, some of those players that they lost in the offseason would be Max Duggan, quarterback and team leader. Kendry Miller, who for my money was the third best running back going into this previous NFL draft. They lost him. And then the one that everyone should know, should be right at the front of your brain, is Quentin Johnston, which might be the greatest wide receiver the TCU program has ever had. All gone. Now, they do return most of their defensive starters. But let's be honest, TCU's defense was nothing close to elite last year. So now what you've got is Chandler Morris replacing Max Duggan. And the concept there that the TCU folks would have you believing is that because Chandler Morris was slated to be the starter going into last year and only lost that job due to injury, that means that he's better than Max Duggan. Yeah, that's a logic that almost never flies. Now, if he comes in and they go on another tear and they make the playoffs, then you can start making that argument. But it doesn't work that way. Max Duggan played a heck of a season on a heck of a run. They did what they did in part because of him. And to simply toss that aside and act like anybody could step in and do that, namely Chandler Morris, I just don't buy it. I just don't. There's so many examples that we could bring up where that is just simply not the case. Now, obviously, Colorado is very changed from what they were last year. And you know that because Sonny Dykes has mentioned a few times that they have not watched a single Colorado game from last year, which makes logical sense because nobody, virtually, there's 7 guys remaining, and only 5 of them are going to matter in this game. And even that is probably not one of the bigger impacts we're going to get from the Colorado side. I expect to see some of it, and I expect them to be productive. But by and large, the Colorado team that you see tomorrow will in no way resemble the Colorado team that TCU played last year. And Sonny Dykes knows that. Now, they've looked at plenty of Kent State, they've looked at plenty of Alabama, Jackson State. They're trying to cherry pick what they can view to get some sort of a sense of what Colorado's going to be. The problem is none of that is going to add up to anything conclusive. Competition level is not the same. The players that are leaving those places that came to Colorado, it's going to be completely different. So, if anything, Colorado does have some element of surprise in that TCU doesn't know what to prepare for. I've seen more of Colorado than they probably have. Where this gets interesting, where I don't understand where most of these national pundits or just college football fans are coming from, the betting line of minus 20 and a half is categorical garbage. It is. The only way that point spread makes any sense is if TCU is the number 2 team in the country and Colorado is a 1-11 roster. If you've been paying any attention at all, you know that neither of those points are true. TCU earned the title national championship runner-up. That and being the second best team in the country are not the same thing. Now, if you're a TCU fan seeing this, I imagine you're going to jump in the comments. Feel free to do so. We can have that out. But you're not going to win. Because there is an example every single year that shows that the team that finished first or second or third last year does not start the next season at that point. And that's where losing players, changing coaches, all comes into play. So no, this is not the number 2 team in the country playing a 1-11 roster. That's not what's happening here. Yet, that's exactly how most of the national pundits see it. Now, if we go point for point, and I've done this before on this very game, and a lot of TCU people did not like it. At the end of the day, what this comes down to is that yes, TCU probably gets the edge on defensive line and offensive line. I know that's everything people are going to hold on to. Here's the problem, though. Sean Lewis's system runs a lot in tempo, which is going to minimize a defensive line's pass rush. The other big thing I see people saying constantly is that Colorado's offensive line is small. Now, I don't want to be rude, but saying Colorado's offensive line is categorically small or even comparatively small only makes sense if you are getting 100% of your information about the Colorado Buffaloes from well-off media, where most of their off-season footage, for understandable reasons, has been guys doing calisthenics, lifting weights, running drills in shorts. Now, yeah, if you see Shedeur Sanders standing next to a guard in shorts, you might be able to discern that maybe he's a little undersized. Here's the deal. Colorado's starting left tackle is 6'10", 320 pounds. His nickname is Tank. For any of you who saw the Longest Yard remake starring Adam Sandler, he looks like the great Khali. That's a massive human being. 6'10". He could be a starting power forward in the NBA based on size alone. That's a big dude. Right tackle, 6'8". They're both over 315. They're both long. And the guards also fit an NFL standard for what an offensive guard should be size-wise. They're over 6'3", and they're over 300 pounds. So where people get this idea that Colorado's offensive line is small, I don't understand. If you want to sit there and say Colorado's offensive line will not play as well as TCU's offensive line, that's a comment that at least I can entertain. But to say Colorado's offensive line is small is ludicrous, and it makes you sound ignorant. But I am willing to give TCU the edge on offensive and defensive line. That's where it stops, though. Quarterback edge, believe it or not, I'm taking the kid from Jackson State over Chandler Morris. I just am. To me, it looks like he is a better quarterback. Full stop. Now, you can say I'm going off limited information, and I am, because I haven't seen a whole lot of Chandler Morris. But I've seen enough to think that even from just a projection standpoint, I don't see him on the same level as Shedeur Sanders. Take that however you want. Running back. This is where it gets interesting. Trey Sanders is intriguing. You got an Alabama back that transferred to TCU, and I imagine they're going to showcase him. If Colorado can slow him down, if Trey Sanders doesn't go off, I think this is bad news for TCU. All three of them could carry the load for this particular team. The beauty is none of them have to. You're going to see all three running backs this week. In addition to that, I know that TCU brought in a couple transfers at wide receiver, and they're very excited about them. And they should be. Colorado goes 9 to 10 deep at wide receiver. And they've got everything from shifty possession guys that can work well between the hashes. They've got possession guys. They've got speed guys. They've got big guys. So there is literally no kind of wide receiver Colorado does not have. Now we flip it onto the defense, and this is where it gets interesting for me. I don't want to get into a war between positions here, but I would take Colorado's linebackers over TCU's linebackers. And I don't think it's necessarily close. Where it gets even more interesting is at some point TCU fans are going to start thinking, well, what are we winning? That's a great question, because it damn sure ain't the secondary. Now, I like Josh Norman a lot. I think Josh Norman has NFL potential. But I'm not taking him over Travis Hunter, Cormani McClain, Miles Slusher. I mean, we can go 6 or 7 deep in the secondary too. So, my question to all these people that keep saying that TCU is going to blow out Colorado and it's going to be embarrassing. There was one ESPN analysis that said they're going to hang a half 100. Really? TCU, with all those players I mentioned they lost, only cleared 50, I think, 4 times? 3 times, maybe? And all 3 that weren't Michigan were bad teams, like real bad teams. There was one team I had not even heard of. I've been watching college football for 3 decades. And there's a school I have not heard of? Yeah, that was weird. For all the people that think TCU is going to hang half 100 or more on Colorado, I want you to give a reason that isn't just TCU's a better program as of late, or that they've established themselves in the recruiting pipeline. Throw those 2 things out. Give me an analytical reason. Give me a substantive reason where you can look at numbers or talent or scheme, and then you can come back and say, this is why TCU is going to blow Colorado away. Because if I'm objective about it, and I'm definitely trying to be, I don't see it. I think TCU is not a playoff team. I think TCU is a good team or a good program that lost a lot. The difference between TCU and Colorado is TCU lost a lot and replaces them with a next man up mentality. Colorado lost 90% of last year's roster and upgraded every last single spot. So if you're going into tomorrow's game thinking TCU is the number 2 team in the country, which they're not, and Colorado is a 1-11 team, which they're not, yeah, you're going to buy into this 20.5 point spread. You're going to buy into this narrative that they are absolutely going to stomp a mud hole in Colorado. But ask yourself, what happens if that's not true? What's the narrative going to be if Colorado loses close, Colorado ties, or football gods forbid, they win by any margin. If Colorado beats TCU, TCU season is over after one game. 98% of the non-Colorado country that pays attention to college football thinks this is going to be a rout by TCU. What happens when 98% of the college football watching world is wrong? Now, I'm not guaranteeing that they will be. I could be completely wrong here. We could check this game, and it could be ugly by halftime. But I'm asking, give me analysis. Give me something that says you looked at it for more than 2 minutes and came up with an X's and O's reason why. Another tip, saying games are won and lost in the trenches is a lazy response. Come up with something better than that. Because if you want, I can show you plenty of games that have not gone the way people thought based on the trenches. Because if Colorado runs tempo and they're getting the ball out quick, it's not going to matter. Doesn't matter if the offensive line can't hold the blocks for more than 3 seconds if 3 seconds is all he needs. I'm not going to give you a score. I'm just going to say it's closer than you think it is. And if Colorado was to win, I would not be surprised. As it goes with this channel, if you haven't noticed, we've been giving you direct Colorado content. Now, why did I stress the word direct? What I'm about to say is no slight on any other YouTube channel out there. But there's a lot of people that are getting a lot of Colorado content from people not in Colorado, from people that do not have access inside the building, people who will not be in the press box tomorrow, September 2nd. If you're seeing this video, the one thing I want you to take from this, nothing to do with the game predictions or the preview, is please like, share, subscribe, because if you want Colorado content following Coach Prime and this journey that we're all on, I'm at least in the building. Now, you can like all the other channels out there and get all the Colorado content you want, wherever you want, from whomever you want. But just know that this channel is inside the building. This channel will be reporting for every home game following this TCU game. And if they start to win more games than is expected, more road games may be on the docket. I hope you watch the game tomorrow. I hope you'll check after further review for any content that I'm putting up. And then in addition, there will be loads of stuff hitting Buffs Beat, which is a subsidiary of Sports Illustrated. All you got to do is go to Google and search Buffs Beat, and it's the very first search result you come up with. Most of the stuff that we shoot, anything that we are doing tomorrow, will make its way onto Buffs Beat first, and will probably make its way to after further review a day or two later. I want to thank you for watching this video. I hope you'll check the game out tomorrow, and definitely stay tuned to Buffs Beat, Sports Illustrated, and after further review for direct CU coverage live from Fort Worth, Texas, where they take on TCU. We'll catch you next time. You guys have a wonderful day.